Hello, everybody, and welcome to From the Mezzanine, the Broadway podcast for the Broadway fans. Here we talk about all things Broadway news, Broadway grosses, and let's be honest, all of the tea and gossip that happens week to week in the Broadway stratosphere. And I am your host, Lindsey Stone, and I feel like I haven't chatted with my Broadway besties in so long. We are so overdue. Your girlie is a world traveler. I have seen the world and come back to tell the tale of the West End, baby. I went to London for the first time, and it was truly everything that I dreamt it would be and more. I had so much fun. I saw so many shows, and I'm going to break it all down with you guys right here on From the Mezzanine in this episode. We're also going to talk about our Broadway grosses currently as we're gearing up for Tony season. Or we're in the thick of Tony season, but as we're gearing up to the Tony Awards, it's good to keep an eye on those grosses, see what shows are leading the pack this season, and we'll also chat about Broadway news. But first, I've got a slew of playbills right here that I need to talk about. The first being, honestly and truly, the reason I went to London. And I am so happy to say it was well worth it. I am talking about Richard II starring Jonathan Bailey. You guys, I cannot believe that I saw Fiyero grace a stage in real life. He was insane. I cannot say enough good things about his performance. He made Shakespeare entertaining. I was so into it. He was beautiful. He was so beautiful. And his acting was through the roof. He was so funny. He interpreted Shakespeare's lines so differently and uniquely to the point where old women at intermission were saying, I don't like that Jonathan Bailey. Everything he says sounds sarcastic. Oh, I was like, watch your mouth, lady. Watch your mouth. You're talking about my man. But I loved this so much. I was seriously like, before we were going, I was like, yeah, I'm going to London. Definitely seeing Richard II with Jonathan Bailey. I know it's Shakespeare, but you know, I got to see him because I love him. I was so into it. The way that they did the staging was so cinematic, and they had a lot of huge orchestrations during the transitions that just kept you into the show. And they delivered Shakespeare like, oh my gosh, sometimes it's so hard to interpret and understand what they are really saying when they are speaking English, fully speaking English, but what are they saying? The way that these actors delivered their lines, I was on board the entire time. I did miss quite a bit, honestly. My friend, after the fact, she was like, crazy how this and that happened. I was like, oh, I didn't realize that happened at all. But I do think that I was on board for most of it. The entire cast was insane. I have, for all of these shows, because we are going to be doing a Broadway review rapid fire in this episode because we have so much to catch up on, I have some key points, segments, if you will, that I want to cover with each show just to keep things succinct. If you want the full dirty down and nasty review where we'll get into the nitty gritty, you can head over to the Patreon, become one of my personal Broadway besties for $5.99 a month. But here on FTM, since we have so much to cover, we're going to stick to the talking points. 1, what Tony would this win? Richard II, if it were on Broadway. For sure, Jonathan Bailey would win Best Actor. He just was unbelievable. And you guys, it was like a modern take on Richard II. He was like in sweats, like a man in a hoodie and sweatpants, and his hair was all like tousled. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm sorry. It was exactly what I wanted for him. Like, I was just like, I can't believe I'm witnessing Jonathan Bailey. It's so weird because he comes out in the end and he's like barefoot and in skinny jeans. He never wears that during the show. I don't know why that is his curtain call outfit. But the costume design was nice. I wouldn't say it would win a Tony Award, but as somebody who went to see the show because of how in love they are with Jonathan Bailey, I was very, very happy. So yeah, that was insane. I definitely think Jonathan would win the Tony if this transferred to Broadway. And I haven't heard any rumors or word on the street that this is coming to Broadway, but boy, oh boy, would I freaking love that. It was amazing. Okay, next key segment, who I'd recommend to see it. Well, it is already closed on the West End, so I guess that doesn't matter so much. But honestly, just all of the Jonathan Bailey girlies, I think all of the Shakespeare girlies, it was a 10 out of 10. It really was. I loved it. And I never thought I would have said that about a Shakespeare show. What element stood out? Definitely the music. I thought that added to the show so much. The acting, of course. I have high expectations for Shakespeare actors on the West End because I feel like that is their bread and butter. And if they do it on the West End, they're probably known for doing it. And I feel like they probably do a lot of Shakespeare. It's not just like, oh yeah, I'll do a Shakespeare and then I'll do a musical. And then I feel like Shakespeare actors oftentimes stay in that Shakespeare lane. So these people, they were fantastic. So that stood out a lot to me. I just think overall it was a very cohesive show. The aesthetic of it all made a lot of sense. My favorite moment, okay, so the climax of this play, I would say, spoiler alert, it's been out for over 100 years. So if you don't know this, not my problem. Spoiler alert, King Richard is very unhinged and he is killing people left and right. And he, at this one moment, he suspects that his food is poisoned and he grabs his food and he shoves it in the security's mouth. And he's like shoving it in his mouth and the security guard dies because his food was poisoned. And then King Richard gets stabbed, I think. That was the climax of the show. And it was really, I was like, oh my God. I was so into it. It was amazing. Ranking out of 10, like I said, 10 out of 10. I truly have no notes. We were front row because we rushed. I've never felt more lucky and fortunate in my entire life. So that was Richard II. So deeply worth the entire trip to London town. Okay, the other shows that I saw in London, I don't have the playbill to prove it, as Selena would say on TikTok, because you have to pay for a playbill. And this Richard II one, and I got it with ice cream. They did like a little discount if you got ice cream on your playbill together. Love that. Love the West End. And, well, wow, I'm just like going off topic, but their wine pours are so big and so inexpensive. I think I paid like £13 for a double. Unheard of on Broadway. So the other shows that I saw, the other top one on my list was The Great Gatsby, starring Jamie Moscato and Corbin Bleu. And of course, I love The Great Gatsby on Broadway, but I had to see it with Corbin Bleu because I love him and I was blown away by his performance. I completely underestimated him because I was like, oh, he's a Disney Channel star. He's not going to be a trained vocalist and he's not going to be super charismatic and an amazing actor. Check and check. He was all of the above. He was an amazing Nick Carraway. Jamie Moscato, I love him because I feel like he's the Aaron Tveit of the West End. He's been Christian in Moulin Rouge. He was JD in Heathers. He's very, very attractive and just a very talented actor. And he was an amazing Gatsby, a very like sorrowful and very sincere Gatsby. And then Corbin was a perfect Nick Carraway, just telling the story with like a really lively look at it. And I will say, I did not love the Daisy. I'm sorry to my West End listeners. I know there's a few of you out there. I can't remember her name right now. I know she is a West End favorite, but I felt like she needed a little more longing, a little more sadness to Daisy. Daisy's a layered character, and I felt like it was a little too princessy, but also who could ever compete with Eva Noblezada? So yeah, Gatsby was fabulous on the West End. I didn't really notice many differences other than the death scene was very different. They have blood. Jamie Moscato was shirtless on Broadway. Gatsby's in like a baggy tee jumping into the pool. So the death scene was a little more intense. People still giggled. That's a major point of contention for one, Ryan McCartan in The Great Gatsby right now on Broadway, is people's reaction to the death scene. A lot of people say it's just a very poorly written scene. And maybe that is why people giggle. I've never giggled. I'm always like, oh my God. On Broadway, people scream a lot. Like the gunshot goes off and people are like, ah! It's like, girlfriend, you don't know what happens. But yeah, it was so amazing. It's The Great Gatsby. I've seen it 3 or 4 times on Broadway. And I was just so pleased. It was so cool to see it too, with a completely different cast and, you know, see how things were interpreted and how the audience responded to things differently. It was pretty cool. So to my segments here, what Tony would it win? Definitely best score. I think they were robbed for the Tony. So let's say Olivier. y'all got this. Y'all got this year. Best score, please. Who I'd recommend it to, honestly, anybody and everybody, because it is such a big classic musical, and it just tells such a very linear, easy to understand, but very interesting and engaging story. So I would recommend this to seriously anybody who wants to see a Broadway show. What elements stood out? I love The Great Gatsby because I love the choreography and I love the set design. And I feel like I said the same thing for Richard II, but like the overall aesthetic. It's very glitzy, giving glamour. And I love that. I love the colors. I love the symbolism. My green light. But for me, the best part of The Great Gatsby is the score. It's so good. My favorite moment, it has to be the death scene this go round because it was so different. And it just made a really big impression on me. And I wasn't expecting them to do something different with the death scene, like do something other than what happens on Broadway, because for really the entire rest of the show was exactly what you see on Broadway, just with different characters. Yeah, like same references, same jokes, same choreography. I think it was really pretty much all the same. I can't think of another element that was different or stood out on the West End Gatsby. Ranking out of 10, 9 out of 10. Probably because the only X in its column is that the girl who played Daisy was not all that. But you know what was funny about it? Their accents, their American accents were really kind of crazy. They were all over the place. At one point, they sounded like they were from like Minnesota. At another point, they sounded like they were from New Jersey. Like it was crazy. It was all over the place. I was like, who's y'all's vocal or your like dialect coach? Because it was all over the place. And even Corbin Bleu at some point sounded a little funky. Like he was like leaning into almost a British accent. But it was all right. It was entertaining as an American to watch that. The other show that I saw is this silly show called Choir of Man. And that was a good time. Basically, it is all these guys who are like grown-up troublemakers, warblers, if you will, from Glee. And they're just singing a cappella. And it's called Choir of Man because they meet up in this pub every single night. And they sing together. And some nights I wake up cashing in my bad luck. It was so cheesy, but it was really sweet and fun and so British because you get to go on stage. I made my West End debut, honey, which was pretty cool. Before the show, we got to go on stage, get a beer, and then go to our seat. I did lose my phone at that show though. And for the entire show, I thought that I left it on stage. Can you imagine? I didn't. I left it in the bathroom. I recovered my phone. It is all okay. But before we went to Choir of Man, we went to the launch party for this new upcoming off-West End show called Oscar at the Crown. And that was so much fun. Very drag, ballroom coded. It was in a basement and it was super grungy and culty and like bunkery and just I don't know. It was like awesome though. I loved the vibes in there, and we were invited to go and just hear a little taste of some of the songs, and from what I heard, I loved it. I don't know if it's running for a limited time, but I would love to see the entire thing. I know it started in Brooklyn, so I definitely missed my opportunity to see it while it was over here. But it was so fun. I'll add a little clip. Absolutely had the best time there. I would recommend seeing Oscar at the Crown I think it's off West End. It's interesting because the theaters are all over the place. But I have to imagine, since it was literally in the basement of the life-size Monopoly store, that it's off West End. Because it definitely was not in a theater, but it's an immersive nightclub sort of drag ballroom experience that was just really, really cool. I felt so cool to even be there. I would recommend it to people who align with that aesthetic and interest. The element that stood out, I thought the music was really, really strong at Oscar and the Crown. It was kind of like Six, like really pushing the boundaries of pop music, and like, it was so dynamic. With the neon and the DJ, and it was really, really, really cool. And out of 10, that night alone was definitely a 10. Okay, so the last West End show that I saw was Devil Wears Prada. No. I did want to see it. I did. But there were a few other options. We had a really hard time deciding exactly what we would see. My friend wanted to see Devil Wears Prada. I was like, you know what? I literally commanded the selection of every single show we've seen. So yes, let's see Devil Wears Prada. We did not rush it. We bought the tickets, a little expensive. But that theater was packed and the audience was enjoying it a lot. But I, on the other hand, was not so inclined. I did not love it. I thought it was really honestly like copy and paste from the movie to the stage. And I don't like that. Please do something different. Switch it up. And I know, of course, they add in the songs and that adds so much to it. But even so, it just like, I don't know, Elton John and Shayna Taub wrote the music. And so I was really interested to hear how that would sound, these two very different forces joining together for Devil Wears Prada. And it did not work for me. I think Shayna Taub is a master of the belting powerhouse song. And there wasn't one single song that stuck in my head after the fact. And that is the indication of a really good musical, is when you have multiple songs stuck in your head. Yeah, I did not like the music. I did not like, honestly, Vanessa Williams was in it. She was fine. But there wasn't like an element that I feel like I really enjoyed in Devil Wears Prada. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, but it's true. But I think it's going to be a major success on the West End because everybody was loving it. That theater was packed to the gills, way more packed than some of these other ones. So I think it'll be a success, because it's so mainstream too, like it's so recognizable. A lot of people are going to go and see the Devil Wears Prada, but I have no interest in that coming to Broadway, although I'm sure that they want it to, and I could see it coming. It's very much so like Pretty Woman, the musical. Such a strong movie, but in musical form just did not make an impression on me. So like that, unfortunately. So, okay, that is my West End recap. All of the shows I saw over on the West End. I had so much fun. I cannot wait to go back. It was a ball and a half. We did so much. Saw all of the sights and I loved it. So thank y'all for giving me your recs while I was in London. They were very, very helpful. And without further ado, I have 2 other shows that I need to do a little review for. The first one being Real Women Have Curves. Yeah. So this show, I know y'all have been waiting for a review on this for quite a while. I saw it before I left for London. And it was a nice show. It was. Out of 10, I would have to give it like a 6 out of 10. I know that's so low. It just felt a little too kitschy and a little too without purpose, without intention to me. But I did enjoy the story and the plot and some of the songs, but I felt like there were a little too many plot lines. They were trying to sew 200 dresses before the end of the deadline. Our lead girl was battling with how is she going to tell her family that she was admitted into college while she's also balancing like her first little love. And there's the plot line that I really think they could have harped on a little bit more of like the immigration officers coming and taking their workers and the threat of that to her family and their business. So let me give y'all just a little bit of a synopsis of what Real Women Have Curves is about. So it follows this young girl. She's about to graduate from high school. And like I said, she has gotten into Columbia in New York. It is set in LA. Her family home is in her name. And basically her family needs her to be there because they are immigrants and everything is in her name. So, and she is a citizen because she was born in America. So that's a huge deal. Right whenever the show starts, they own a, like a factory, I guess, like a design factory of clothes. And her sister is like the head honcho of the factory, and she gets an order for 200 dresses that they have to make in 3 weeks, which is an impossible feat. So that's one of the big conflicts. And then she starts kind of falling in love with this guy who's in her journalism class. So those are the main plot points. And they have a new immigrant girly working for them, who is taken by the immigration officers. So that's what's at stake. A lot of different plot lines. It's pretty predictive, though, I would say, of where the plot is going. Some of the songs were really nice. I just didn't feel like it had enough intention and like reason for why. Why are we watching this? What's the purpose? It just seemed a little scattered to me. And this show is really, really struggling to make money. And when I went, the theater was so empty. It was very, very sad to see, especially for a show that just opened to pretty good reviews. But they didn't get many Tony nominations. I am shocked that I am not reporting yet that this has a closing announcement, although I feel like it's coming. They might just be trying to stick it out until after Tony's and see what happens. They did get an acting nomination for their featured actress, but I don't really remember them getting much anything else. I think they might have gotten 1 or 2 other nominations. So let's stick to my criteria. What Tony would it win? Maybe score, because it is a nice original score. I think that is their strongest part. Who I'd recommend to see it? Definitely people. This is set in like the 80s, I want to say. And it was a popular movie at the time. So people who are familiar with the movie would likely like it. Definitely people who are immigrants would probably really be able to relate to it, feel seen, feel empowered by this musical. Women would also just enjoy this musical because it is very empowering. I mean, the title is Real Women Have Curves. And the best moment is when they sing the song Real Women Have Curves, and they, spoiler alert, this is like a huge moment, but at the end of the song, they're all singing in their underwear, and it's super empowering and like pretty emotional too. Just to see all of the body diversity on the stage and everybody just feeling so comfortable and confident in their own skin. That was a really, really beautiful, magical moment of this show that I totally, totally enjoyed. So I think I covered pretty much all of my speaking points here for Real Women Have Curves. Goddess. I saw this just a couple of nights ago at the Public Theater. It's starring Amber Iman and the guy who was recently Shakespeare in And Juliet. Let me find him real quick. Mari, Austin Scott. That's who he plays. And I really love the guy who plays Ahmed, and that is played by Nick Rashad Burroughs. He was Lautrec, Toulouse-Lautrec, whenever I saw Moulin Rouge on the national tour. He's amazing. So let me tell you all a little bit about this show, Goddess, that's playing right now at the Public Theater. And let me just say, you must see it. The plot is crazy, so buckle up. It follows this woman who is the goddess of music. However, her mother is the goddess of evil, and she wants her daughter to be the goddess of war. And she fights that. She comes to like the real world, and it's set in an underground African nightclub called Moto Moto. And the lead girl, the goddess of music, she will not leave the nightclub because she feels safe and secure there, where she can share her music with everybody, and she's just so fawned over. And nobody knows that she's like a real goddess. And just people are falling in love with her, and she's trying to deal with that. She's never loved before. She never learned how, but she starts to fall for somebody, but he is working to be a politician, and it's frowned upon to be affiliated with Moto Moto. So there's some conflict there for sure. And that's kind of the gist of it. I feel like that's what you need to know going in. the aesthetic of this show, it knows exactly what it is. It is beautiful. It is like you're being transported to an underground, almost underwater, ethereal nightclub. And the music has been stuck in my head. Mombasa, Mombasa. I'm probably saying it so wrong, but I have never wanted to get up and dance more in a show. I've never felt so like, just in awe of the beauty on stage. What with the costumes, the choreography, the songs. This show is extremely strong. I would rank it a 10 out of 10. It was phenomenal. I've never seen Amber Iman perform on a stage before. She was fan-freaking-tastic. So beautiful. Oh, I loved it. So what Tony would it win? Set design, costume design, choreography. Amber Iman would win for Best Leading Actor. Nick Rashad Burroughs would win for Best Featured Actor. It is extremely, extremely strong, and there's no way it's not coming to Broadway. I loved it. And I kind of want to see it one more time at the Public because I saw Hell's Kitchen at the Public, loved it. Saw Hell's Kitchen on Broadway, did not love it because that intimate space is just so much better to just feel so close to the actors, like you're literally immersed in the story yourself. That is so, so special. And I do think that this will perform very well on a bigger stage in a bigger theater because the set is huge. Like they can do even more if they had more space. So I think it would be great on a big Broadway stage, but I personally would rather see it up close and personal just one more time before it heads to Broadway because it's only a matter of time. It is headed to Broadway. Who would I recommend to see it? I would say it's a little bit more mature in some ways. I don't think like it's family friendly. I think it's people, any adult age would enjoy it. But who specifically? Just people who like to have fun at a Broadway show should see it. And it's super moving too. Just the way Amber Iman sings, it does something. It does something to you. It really does. It's like, whoo, she hits you right in your heart. It's so beautiful. The elements that stood out, I feel like I already kind of answered that, what with all the Tonys that they would win. My favorite character was Nick Rashad Burroughs. He was so funny and so, so, so good. I loved seeing him in another role. His role was kind of similar to Toulouse-Lautrec in Moulin Rouge, so that was nice to see again. But ranking out of 10, I would rank it a 9 out of 10 because I do think the ending needs a little bit of work. Not too much. They just need to tie that bow a little bit better there at the end. They reached the summation point a little too soon without enough conflict resolution. And we just, as audience members, are just supposed to be like, okay, and we're over that and it's time to move on. A little too fast. We need a little bit more push and pull conflict resolution there at the end to make us believe how they get to that end point. But I don't want to say exactly what happened. So I'm going to leave it at that. So that is Goddess. And that is my Broadway recap. Let's get into the Broadway grosses. Okay, folks, so we have not checked out the Broadway grosses in a hot minute. This is for the week ending on May 11th, and the top of the pack is Good Night and Good Luck. Number 2 is Othello, which, by the way, we were gallivanting about the theater district last night, and it was, I went to go and see Death Becomes Her with one of my dear friends, and it was her first Broadway show. And after the fact, we tried to stage door for Death Becomes Her, but nobody came out. I was like, I have to give you the full experience. So we went over to Othello because those theaters are super close to each other. And yeah, we saw Denzel and we saw Jake Gyllenhaal. That was very cool. So yeah, Good Night and Good Luck is our number 1, Othello 2, and Glengarry Glen Ross is number 3. We've got the plays all in the top 3 spots. Then we have 4 is Wicked, 5 is Lion King, Hamilton is 6. I'm excited to see once Leslie comes pretty soon if that bumps up. Death Becomes Her is 7. That is really good. It was totally full last night. MJ is 8. The Picture of Dorian Gray is 9. Gypsy is 10. And Just in Time is 11. So we haven't seen The Outsiders. Wow, that's really interesting. I don't think Just in Time has grossed that much from what I've seen. Maybe Happy Ending is grossing over $1 million. That is very, very good. There's so many whispers right now that like Boop, Maybe Happy Ending, and Real Women Have Curves are going to close because they're all of the new musicals. I don't think Maybe Happy Ending is going to close. They're going to get a really nice boost after the Tony Awards, but let's see what's at the bottom. I already know that Redwood will be at the bottom. At the time I'm recording this, they are closing today, which is just really painful and sad. Very short, unsuccessful run. Definitely did not recoup. So that is going to go down as an epic flop. Oh, wow. Okay, everybody. This is very, very interesting. Our bottom grossing musical is Real Women Have Curves, and they have 66% capacity. That's what I'm saying. I cannot believe they have not announced a closing date yet. Next is Dead Outlaw, which is the biggest contender against Maybe Happy Ending for the Tony Awards, and that they are grossing just over $500,000, and they had 84% capacity. I'm not surprised because Dead Outlaw, they've been doing some marketing. I've been seeing quite a bit, but there's nothing about the title or the cast that is drawing the general public in, and I think that will be to their detriment. Very interesting though, Floyd Collins is grossing terribly. They have a 76% capacity, and they're also grossing just over $500,000. Jeremy Jordan and Lizzie McAlpine should definitely be drawing more people than they are. And yeah, that's not looking good. And then Boop the Musical is just above that at 78% capacity. That's really, really surprising to me. I would have thought that would have found an audience pretty quickly just with the recognizability of the IP. Yeah, okay, so that covers our Broadway grosses. We do have a few key news stories that we have to cover here on FTM this week that I just cannot pass up because we have been getting the Heathers casting news. And guess what? Your girl freaking predicted a lot of it. I said here on From the Mezzanine that I wanted Lorna Courtney to be our Veronica Sawyer, and she is. We have Casey Likes as JD, not who I cast, but that's okay. I honestly, I was really thinking critically about it, and I cannot picture him as JD. I really can't. But I'm open to it. I'm open to seeing him play it. I'm sure he's going to be good. He is a very good actor. He's very talented, but I don't really see him as a dark actor. You know what I'm saying? JD has to go there. He has to get really, really dark. I was meant to be yours. You were meant to be mine. So I can't picture it. I can't, but I'm here for it. And of course, I cannot believe Lorna is our Veronica, but we now have our Heathers. And I cast Heather Chandler right. And honestly, I'm not surprised because I do think she was the obvious choice, but at the same time, you're welcome, casting team, because I know you're listening. We have literally the most beautiful girl, most stunning woman to grace a Broadway stage as our Heather Chandler. We have Mackenzie Kurtz. You know her, you love her as Glinda, most recently in Wicked. She was also in the acclaimed Broadway show, Heart of Rock and Roll. Now, all jokes aside, Mackenzie Kurtz is such a queen. I adore her. She is precisely who I envisioned as Heather Chandler. She is going to be perfect. So we have her as Heather Chandler, and then we have Olivia Elise Hardy, who was in Kimberly Akimbo, and she will be our Heather Duke. And we have Elizabeth Teeter, who you know from Beetlejuice, as Heather McNamara. This is beautiful. This is perfect. It makes me just think, Sophia Ann Caruso, you would have been amazing. And what is she doing? Where is Sophia Ann Caruso, actually? Because we haven't seen her ever since she did that House of Good and Evil movie on Netflix that I loved, by the way. But Sophia, girly, come back to Broadway. I know it hasn't been long. And people are saying that Beetlejuice is going to come back to Broadway to round out their national tour end. That is a rumor that I have heard. But I miss Sophia. She's so good. I love her voice. But this is a fun group for the Heathers. I'm very excited about it. Most specifically, Mackenzie Kurtz is going to be the best and the baddest Heather Chandler we have ever seen. I love this. I'm so happy that this Heathers cast is so FTM coded because Heathers is so FTM coded. I love it so much. It is one of my favorite all-time musicals. And I just couldn't be more pleased. I think Lorna is going to be amazing. Let's make it beautiful. Oh, it's just, I can't wait. I can't wait. It's going to be fabulous. And yeah, like I did say, like I really was like, oh yeah, Casey Likes. He seems like an obvious choice for the role of JD. But then when I really thought about it, I was like, he's always kind of like the goofball, happy-go-lucky. I mean, he was Marty McFly, for crying out loud. Like he's very mainstream, like Broadway boy. And everybody, the interesting thing I just realized is everybody thought he was going to replace Brody Grant in The Outsiders, but Brody is still kicking, clearly. So Casey, I think, is not going to go join The Outsiders now. I feel like he's moved on from that because if you're not aware, he was the original Pony Boy, I think, at the Daryl Roth. And that was it. But, which is funny just because he's literally everywhere at once. Casey Likes is so employable, and now he's going to be our JD at New World Stages for Heather's. So here's what we need to know. The show is returning to the New World Stages. That is where it was originally performed back in only 2014. Like, it was only debuted in 2014. It has not been long, but it never came to Broadway. And something about New World Stage productions, I never feel like they're vying for Broadway. I feel like they're basically as close to on Broadway as an off-Broadway show can be. And so I feel like these shows are going to just stay off-Broadway. But I definitely think that Heathers is going to be a major hit off-Broadway. The music is just so good. I think there's some really distinct changes that they made for the Weston version that this new version will have. I mean, big changes. Like, a lot of songs are different. But a lot of the classic songs are still there. Holy shit, holy shit. Why, when you see boys fight, does it look so horrible, but it feels so right? Gosh, I love this musical. I know it's going to be perfect. Other than, I just can't picture Casey Likes, but I do think he'll be fine. Once I see it, I'll be like, actually, he ate, you know? I just can't envision it. All I see is Marty McFly. Jeez, Doc. Don't let the car go 88, Doc. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, but that's all I can envision. All right. Here's what they said. I keep looking away from my notes and not at all looking back at them. So, like I said, it was originally playing at the New World Stages back in 2014. It is coming back for limited engagement beginning June 22nd through, of course, September 28th. They had to have that performance. September 1st, Dear Diary. Andy Fickman will be directing it again. He did the off-Broadway production and the London production. And Fickman said in a statement, quote, "I couldn't be more thrilled about the powerhouse trio stepping into those iconic red, green, and yellow costumes. Mackenzie Kurtz, oh, I'm so excited. Mackenzie Kurtz brings a ferocious authority to Heather Chandler that demands the spotlight. I know she does. Olivia Hardy gloriously captures Heather Duke's volcanic anger, and Elizabeth Teeter brings a heartbreaking vulnerability to Heather McNamara that will surprise and move audiences. These Heathers are bold, brilliant, and absolutely deadly in the best way possible." I can't wait. Thank you to the casting team for listening to From the Mezzanine and doing what I said, because you're welcome. I clearly know what I'm doing over here. And it is just becoming more and more evident that I need to be in casting because clearly I have a calling. So I can't wait. I honestly should go to the first performance because this is my thing. Heather's is my thing. I should definitely try to go to that first performance. That would be oh so cool. Okay, our next piece of news is something that's like a little obscure, and I just need to talk about it because I feel like I need to complain, but let's get into it. Cynthia Erivo is going to be leading a solo Dracula play in London. Now, at face value, oh my gosh, a show of Cynthia Erivo the whole time playing multiple characters? What could go wrong? I think it's a little insane for people to do one-woman shows. Now, I have not seen the picture of Dorian Gray, and I have heard excellent things. But I cannot imagine seeing people switch in and out of all of these different roles. They are talking to themselves the entire time. Why? Why is that a thing? Why is it so commonplace for these big stars to be like, you know what? I'm going to play every single role. And even when it's Cynthia Erivo, I have a clear enough head to say, I think that that's crazy. I do. I don't even think I want to see Cynthia Erivo play 70 characters, especially not Dracula. But I can already see like the set photos and her costume design, and I like what I'm envisioning in my head. It's going to be bad A. So yeah, this is true. Next year, it's coming to London, one-woman production. It's going to be directed and adapted by Kip Williams, and he's the same person who did Picture of Dorian Gray. So I'm seeing some parallels here, for sure. And it's going to be playing at London's Noel Coward Theatre from February 4th through May 31st for a 16-week engagement. Sounds exhausting, but it's interesting because February 2026, we will already have the Wicked movie, right? Let me just verify. Okay, so November 21st, 2025 is when the Wicked movie comes out. Wow, we are just inching along closer and closer to that date. It's really coming up quickly. So then very shortly thereafter, after the high of Wicked, Cynthia Erivo is going to be doing this show. That is crazy to me. Doing the most. Yeah, she's going to be playing 23 characters from Stalker's original iconic vampire tale. That's just crazy. And I love Cynthia Erivo, but if she is not singing, I really don't want any part of it. I'm sorry. It's just a little too crazy to me. Here's what Cynthia Erivo said, quote, "Returning to the stage feels like a homecoming, one that I've been craving for a long time. To do so with a story as rich, complex, and haunting as Dracula offers a beautiful opportunity to delve into character, into myth, and into the heart of what makes us human." Do y'all think she's holding space for Dracula? She goes on to say, quote, "From the moment I was asked, I could not get the role out of my mind. Kip's vision is thrilling, terrifying, and deeply resonant, offering a chance to sit with not only the darkness in the world, but also the light we fight to hold on to." This is a really long statement, and yes, I'm reading it all in an accent. "It's a rare gift for an actor to inhabit so many voices and perspectives in one piece, and I'm honored to do it for the West End audiences in this extraordinary production." It's getting away from me now. "The prospect of doing this show scares me, and I know it will be a huge challenge. This show will ask everything of me, and I'm ready to give it." That was an amazing statement, Cynthia. I love that. That statement kind of makes me want to see it because it sounds like she is about to prove something to everybody on the West End. Not that she needs to, but I like this. I like that she's returning back to a stage where she thrives so beautifully. She's not just going to go join the likes of the Hollywood type. She's going to stay true to her roots and be back on a West End stage. So I love that. It's really crazy to me that she's going to be playing so many different parts. One person. And it's Dracula. Like, she going to bite her own neck? Like, how is that going to work? No, but actually, I don't know how that works. It doesn't make any sense to me. But I guess I'd have to see it to find out. And my curiosity might just get the best of me, and I can see myself booking my next trip to London. Okay, so this next story, it's interesting and honestly pretty tea. So Aisha Jackson, who was the understudy for Joy Woods in The Notebook on Broadway, she will be Broadway's next Daisy Buchanan in The Great Gatsby. I never heard any whispers of this, but the tea part is that we didn't know that Sarah Hyland was leaving. They all of a sudden just announced Aisha was coming. Am I wrong? Did I miss something? I don't think that we ever heard that Sarah Hyland was leaving. So Aisha Jackson, she was recently in the City Center's encore production of Wonderful Town. She is going to start her role as Daisy in The Great Gatsby on June 16th. So pretty dang soon. She has been in, like I said, The Notebook, Beautiful, the Carole King musical, Waitress, Paradise Square. Oh my God. I didn't know she was in Paradise Square. Wait, that makes me love her so much. Once Upon a One More Time and Frozen. She's very acclaimed, very, very qualified. I'm sure she's going to be a fabulous Daisy Buchanan. I've never seen her perform. Clearly I have in Paradise Square, but I don't remember her. I wasn't aware of who she was at the time. But yeah, they announced that Sarah Hyland is going to be departing from the show June 15th. And here's what I think, you guys. So, remember back to Drama Desk last year, I had the honor of interviewing Corbin Bleu and Sarah Hyland at the Drama Desk Awards. They were doing press together as a unit. One could say that's because they were both in Little Shop of Horrors, although not at the same time. Sarah Hyland was in Little Shop at the point of me interviewing her, and Corbin Bleu had already left Little Shop for the second time that he had already been in it. So they kept playing, hinting like, oh, yes, it'd be fabulous to be in a show together one day. And while that was a long time ago, I bet they didn't already have like solid plans to be in The Great Gatsby together. But I do think that they are going to join forces, because things like this, they're never a coincidence, all right? If they walked a carpet together, arm in arm, there's a reason. And I think that either Corbin Bleu is going to be bopping over to Broadway. Well, no, it'd already be too late. I think then Sarah Hyland, this is an indication that Sarah Hyland is going to go over to the West End and be Daisy over there. But that is also a limited engagement on the West End. I don't know how West End culture is. Do they change out actors when things are limited engagement? It's not commonplace here on Broadway. So maybe not, but I feel like that wasn't a coincidence. I feel like there's more to it. That's just my little armchair theory over here. But I do think it's interesting, and it's a really quick departure from their announcement. Just like 1 month. Okay, everybody go flock to see Sarah Hyland. You don't want to miss her. I'm not going to see it. I'm not going to see it with her, and I'm okay with that. I know there was a point where I was like, I've got to see it with her. But something about, I've seen clips and of her and Ryan McCartan, and I just love this show so much. And to be quite honest, I don't know if I'll love it with them two in it. I know. That's so sad. That's so bad to say, especially because like, I used to love Ryan McCartan from Heathers. But I just can't anymore. He's not my man anymore. So he's not the man I thought he was. He's just like a little too woo-woo. So anyways, this is very exciting for Aisha Jackson. And I'm sure that she's fabulous. And there have been hella rumors that Jeremy Jordan is going to be coming back to The Great Gatsby. Why did he ever leave? I don't know. To go hide out in a cave? Just kidding. He's Tony nominated. I got a lot of Tony Awards, but clearly it's not doing well, which I don't really know why. I haven't seen a lot of marketing for it. I thought that they would really pick it up, but we haven't seen much. They changed their marketing. They changed like their like poster, but they need to do more. They really need to be being like, hey, everybody, Lizzie McAlpine, she's in the show. You need to come and see her. Like, she has a pretty big following. I actually listened to her music for the first time this week, and I liked what I heard. So that was pretty exciting for Aisha. Things are switching out. Lots of things rocking and rolling over at The Great Gatsby. I think Jeremy Jordan will come back. I really do. I think he loved that show and loved being Gatsby. And oh boy, did we love him as it. He's so good. Okay, there was something I need to tell you. Oh, okay, so as y'all know, it's award season. From the Mezzanine is going to be at the Cheetah Rivera Awards again this year. At the time of me recording this, the awards are tomorrow. I'm so excited. Guess who's going to be there? Usher, I see you over there. So exotic. For real, Usher's going to be there. So knock on wood, I hope that I get to interview him. That would be so cool. But Jonathan Groff is a nominee. We've got a ton of really awesome nominees this year. There's going to be performances by Boop, A Wonderful World. It's just going to be a fabulous night to celebrate, dance, and I cannot wait to kick off award season at the Cheetah Rivera Awards, because last year it was iconic. I saw Bernadette Peters and had the viral moment where she walked into my shot. Go check it out on my Instagram or TikTok if you'd like, at From the Mezzanine Broadway. Because also, this week, I'm going to be posting all the clips from the Cheetah Rivera Awards. Talk to Shoshana Bean. Oh my God. Last year was so awesome. I know this year's going to be just the same. So I cannot wait for tomorrow. It's going to be epic. Thank y'all so much for listening to this episode of From the Mezzanine. Thank you so much for being a Broadway bestie. If you want to make it official, you can head on over to patreon.com/fromthemezzanine and become one of my official Broadway besties for $5.99 a month. Right after this episode, like I said, I'll be getting into the nitty-gritty about these shows, talk a little bit more about my London trip, talk your ear off, because that's what I love to do. It's why I was put on this earth to talk about Broadway. And I really appreciate all of the support over there. It's a great way, at the very least, just to show from the mezzanine your support. And I appreciate it so much. So go head over there if you want some bonus episodes and content from me. Please, like I said, follow me on Instagram and TikTok at From the Mezzanine Broadway. Also, you guys, let me be so for real right now. I would love it if you left me a review wherever you're listening right now. When you leave me a review, it tells the algorithm, hey, I like the show. I think more people would like it too. And it kind of just gives it a boost, sends it out to more ears, and it also boosts my confidence and makes me be like, oh my God, people actually listen to this show? That's crazy. I never thought anybody listened. But I know you guys are out there. I see the numbers. So please leave me a review wherever you're listening, on Spotify, Apple, YouTube. Leave me a comment. Make sure you're subscribed on YouTube, of course. And you guys, thank you so much for listening to From the Mezzanine, and I'll see you next time. Bye.